Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marc Márquez's flawless start to the 2025 MotoGP season has caught the attention of the paddock, and Ducati team manager Davide Tardozzi believes the Spaniard is at his absolute peak. With 4 victories in 4 races, Marquez has been unstoppable, and as the championship heads to Austin, his favorite circuit, his dominance may only continue. Ducati test rider Michele Pirro has weighed in on the MotoGP 2025 season, discussing his brand's continued dominance, the challenges faced by Pecco Bagnaia, and the impressive start of Marc Márquez. While Ducati has fewer bikes on the grid this year, Pirro remains confident in their strength and believes Bagnaia has what it takes to fight for wins despite Marquez's early dominance. As Ducati continues to dominate the MotoGP grid, other manufacturers are struggling to keep pace. One of the most frustrated riders is Red Bull KTM's Pedro Acosta, who believes that the key to closing the gap might not be in technology, but in leadership. When asked what KTM should take from Ducati, his answer was simple: Gigi Dall'Igna. Jack Miller left the Argentine Grand Prix with mixed feelings after a tough race that saw him finish outside the top 10. Despite moving up to 13th place following AI Ogura's disqualification, Miller acknowledged that other manufacturers have made bigger steps forward. Now, the Australian rider is focused on bouncing back at the upcoming Texas Grand Prix. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. The Argentine Grand Prix was yet another showcase of Ducati's strength, with all 5 of its bikes finishing in the top 5. While Marc Márquez took another commanding victory, his brother Alex Marquez came close to stealing the spotlight with a brave performance. Argentina has been another celebration for Ducati, with 5 of our bikes in the top 5 positions. It's true that Marc won, but Alex was also very brave. This result is a huge boost for us because it shows how well we support our satellite teams. Quote from Tardozzi. With Ducati riders leading the way, it's clear that the Italian manufacturer holds a major advantage in 2025. While Marquez's speed has always been undeniable, Tardozzi believes that what makes him even more dangerous now is his maturity. The 8-time world champion has refined his riding style, eliminating the costly mistakes that plagued him in the past. I've said it before, when Marc Márquez is in form, he's Marc Márquez. But now, he's more mature. He's still riding as strong as when he won his titles, but without making mistakes. This version of Márquez is calculated, patient, and just as fast as ever, making him an even tougher competitor to beat. Despite his early dominance, Tardozzi knows the season is long and that other Ducati riders, particularly Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia, will not make Márquez's path to a 9th title easy. The true test of him will be given this year by Jorge Martin when he's at full capacity, and also by Pecco, who will be strong again. With both riders expected to improve as the season progresses, Ducati could see an intense internal battle for the championship. With a perfect start to the season, Marquez is already emerging as the favorite for the 2025 championship. Though he prefers to take things race by race, his performances suggest he is in complete control. Right now, we're seeing the best Marquez we've ever seen in the World Championship. Now, all eyes turn to the Circuit of the Americas, a track where Marquez has historically been unbeatable. If he extends his winning streak in Texas, his rivals may find themselves with an even bigger mountain to climb. With 4 wins in 4 races, Marc Márquez is proving that he is back to his best, and maybe even better. As MotoGP heads to Austin, can anyone stop his dominance? The answer will come in just a few days. Pirro remains deeply involved with Ducati, not just as a test rider but also in programs aimed at developing young talent. However, despite his extensive work, he will not be making wildcard appearances this season due to new regulations. I don't think I'll have a wildcard because the new rules prohibit it, especially after our dominance last season. The only way I could race is as a replacement, but that's never ideal. While I'll miss competing, it's a sign of how strong Ducati is." Quote from Pirro. Pirro acknowledges that the nature of wildcard entries has become more difficult over the years, but he remains committed to Ducati's success from behind the scenes. One notable change in 2025 is the reduction of Ducati bikes from 8 to 6, following Promac's switch to Yamaha. While some might see this as a disadvantage, Pirro isn't too concerned. "I don't think it changes much. The Desmosedici is extremely competitive, and we're still strong. The real unknown is how Jorge Martin will adapt to Aprilia, and Bastianini is struggling more than expected. But overall, Ducati remains in a great position. With a reduced presence but a strong lineup, Ducati remains the team to beat this season." The early races have seen vastly different fortunes for Ducati's factory riders. While Marc Márquez has been dominant, Pecco Bagnaia has had a more difficult start. However, Pirro isn't surprised. Pecco has never been at his best at the beginning of the season. The tracks so far haven't suited him, but he'll improve. Marc, on the other hand, is full of motivation and is simply doing what he does best. Pirro also highlighted Alex Marquez's impressive adaptation to the GP24, noting that being alongside his brother has given him an extra boost. With Marquez off to a perfect start, Bagnaia faces the challenge of closing the gap. While some speculate that Pecco may be struggling with Marquez as a teammate, Pirro believes he has the ability to turn things around. "Marc is one of the toughest teammates you can have, so of course, it's not easy. But Pecco has all the talent to fight him. He just needs time to find his confidence again. I'm sure we'll see him back at the front soon." With Ducati's full support behind him, Bagnaia is expected to bounce back and challenge for victories as the season progresses. Michele Pirro remains confident that Ducati's strength will continue despite some early season challenges. Can Pecco Bagnaia rise to the occasion and fight back against Marc Márquez? The battle is far from over, and the next few races will be crucial in shaping the championship fight. After a disappointing start to the 2025 season, Pedro Acosta has voiced his concerns about KTM's development. Despite high expectations, the rookie sensation has finished outside the top 5 in all races so far, with his latest results in Argentina, 9th in the sprint and 8th in the Grand Prix, leaving him unimpressed. "To be honest, I feel like we've gone backwards instead of forwards over the winter. The gap to Ducati isn't closing, and that's frustrating." Quote from Acosta. With Ducati locking out the podiums in both sprint and Grand Prix races, Acosta knows KTM needs to find a way to bridge the performance gap quickly. When asked what KTM should take from Ducati, Acosta didn't mention aerodynamics, engines, or ride height devices. Instead, he pointed directly at Ducati course general manager Gigi D'Allegna. Gigi is one step ahead of the others. He's the one who invented many of the things we're all using now, like the ride height devices. When you're the one creating innovations, you always stay ahead. Acosta recognizes that Ducati's success is built not just on technology, but on visionary leadership. The influence of Ducati on the current MotoGP landscape is undeniable. Acosta reflected on how the entire grid has followed Ducati's lead over the years. "Modern MotoGP is a copy and paste of what Ducati has done. Nobody had wings at first, now everyone does. When Lorenzo joined Ducati, people were complaining about how big the wings were. Now, everyone uses them." While KTM has made strides, Acosta knows that to truly compete, they need more than just technical upgrades. They need the kind of innovative thinking that Ducati has mastered. Acosta's comments come amid speculation about his future. With KTM struggling and financial concerns surrounding the Austrian factory, rumors have begun linking him to a potential move to Ducati in 2026. One of the most talked about possibilities is a switch to Ducati's satellite team, Pertamina Enduro VR46. However, team boss Pablo Nieto has insisted that they remain committed to Franco Morbidelli, who recently secured his first podium since 2021. "I wish I could test a Ducati to really see what I'd like more about it compared to my bike." A subtle hint at a future switch? Only time will tell, but if KTM doesn't close the gap, Acosta may be looking for a new home sooner rather than later. Pedro Acosta is already proving to be one of the most outspoken and ambitious riders on the grid. But with KTM struggling, will he stick it out and try to bring them forward, or will he look for an opportunity with Ducati in the future? One thing is certain: the battle for MotoGP's next superstar is just beginning. The main race in Argentina proved to be a challenging one for Jack Miller, who ultimately finished 14th on track before being promoted to 13th. The Australian rider admitted that his performance wasn't up to expectations but remained positive about the lessons learned over the weekend. "The race wasn't bad, although the result wasn't what I expected. At the start, I was a bit too aggressive with the clutch and went slightly off the line, ending up wide, but I recovered well." Despite his recovery, Miller struggled to maintain his pace as tire performance became an issue. His decision to use the medium compound backfired, preventing him from fighting for higher positions. "I started to struggle with grip. Obviously, the choice of the medium tire wasn't the right one because it didn't perform as we expected." Quote from Miller. Miller remained optimistic despite his struggles, emphasizing that his biggest takeaway from the weekend was the experience gained rather than the result itself. He believed he had the pace to challenge for the top 10 but ultimately couldn't push further due to the overall drop in grip across the grid. "I was honestly convinced I could catch those ahead of me with 11 laps to go, but we all suffered a similar drop in tire performance, and my race ended there, in the sense that I couldn't maintain the pace I wanted." This race also highlighted the improvements made by rival manufacturers, with Miller acknowledging that some teams had taken a more significant step forward in their performance. While disappointed with his result, Miller is not dwelling on Argentina and is already looking ahead to the Texas Grand Prix. Determined to close the gap to the leaders, he remains confident that better results are within reach. Before leaving Argentina, Miller also took a moment to appreciate the hard work of his team, recognizing their efforts to give him the best possible package on race day. "I would have liked to be closer to the top positions, but the other manufacturers have made a significant step forward. In Texas, we will come back stronger and try again. For now, I'm grateful to the team for all the work they've done." Despite a challenging weekend in Argentina, Jack Miller remains optimistic about the season ahead. With his focus now on Texas, the Australian is eager to make improvements and fight for stronger results. Can he close the gap to the front? We'll find out at the next round of MotoGP. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. See you next time.